Welcome to CBS Sports HQ on YouTube. We're here to give you an early look at Super Bowl 54 in Miami. The Kansas City Chiefs facing the San Francisco 49ers. Not to be called San Fran, San Francisco 49ers. Jeremy St. Louis alongside CBS Sports NFL analyst and former NFL quarterback Brady Quinn in our Fort Lauderdale studios. Joining us via Skype as well, CBS Sports NFL analyst and two-time Super Bowl champion Bryant Mcfadden and CBS Sports senior NFL writer Will Brinson. Good afternoon, gentlemen. Welcome to the program. All right, first we're going to talk X Factors. We're going to talk picks for the game. We're going to start with your actual picks for MVP, but let's start with these two coaches. Now, when it comes to Andy Reid and Kyle Shanahan, you've got two coaches that have very different backgrounds when it comes to their experience in NFL big games, certainly in the Super Bowl. Andy Reid, we know that his record with having the bye is fantastic. I think it's 22-3 when he's coming off of a bye week. So when you look at Kyle Shanahan's offense and you look at Andy Reid, Bryant, I'll start with you. Who would you rather have in this particular game, Andy Reid or Kyle Shanahan?
You know, it's a tough question. I have a lot of respect for both coaches, especially Kyle Shanahan. I believe he's one of the best offensive play callers in the National Football League. But for this particular matchup, give me Andy Reid, and here's why. He's been doing it for a long, long time. The experience is there. The ability to show up, especially the stat you just mentioned after a bye week, how consistent he's been in putting points on the scoreboard and winning ball games. But it's not just about Andy Reid as an individual play caller. He has the best offense in this matchup. You talk about Pat Mahomes, a guy that won the MVP a year ago, put up 50 touchdowns, and then you look at Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, Sammy Watkins, Mecole Hardman, so many outstanding, experienced offensive players that will surround an elite quarterback. Yes, I side with Andy Reid because of his personnel, but I have a lot of respect for both guys, but give me Andy Reid.
Will.
Yeah, I would take Andy Reid as well. I mean, I think when you look at the history of how long he's been doing this and how well he's performed off the bye, who he has at quarterback, how his offenses have operated over the course of his tenure there, it's a no-brainer to take Reid. I will say, however, two factors when it comes to the coach situation do interest me. One, Kyle Shanahan had the Falcons schemed up pretty good when they had the Patriots down 28-3 in a previous Super Bowl. So this is not something that he will completely have to adjust to. He will be prepared. He is an excellent game planning coach. He took Matt LaFleur and Mcfadden, pulled him up in front of the cafeteria and pulled the pants down in front of everyone, embarrassed him. I mean, that was an out-coaching masterpiece by him in that situation. The other thing that I like here, because of Kyle Shanahan having lost that 28-3 lead, and because Andy Reid was down 24-0 to the Texans, I think both guys will continue to stay aggressive in this game, and I think we will see foot-to-the-gas tendencies for both Reid and Shanahan.
Who do you pick? You were hedging at one point there, Will. Did you pick Andy Reid or did you pick Kyle Shanahan? I'm not really sure from that. But, look, I'm going to go against the grain because I think Will also picked Andy Reid. I'm actually going to pick Kyle Shanahan, and for this reason. Look, I really don't know that you could go wrong either way.
Right.
But one thing stands out to me, at least if we're just talking about the coaches and scheme, if you look at some of the biggest plays from Kansas City this year, sometimes it comes via the play actually breaking down, and it becomes based on the improvisational skills of Mahomes, finding Kelce, finding Hill and Watkins, and making some of those plays. When you watch the San Francisco 49ers offense, it is a thing of art. It is a thing of beauty. It is all about scheme. Now, granted, they've got some good playmakers as well, but it's all about putting those guys in the proper position for them to have success. They both have experience coaching in Super Bowl games, and I think Kyle Shanahan has learned his lesson. If you go back to that Atlanta Falcons, New England Patriots Super Bowl, where Will mentioned he had a lot of success with the Patriots defense.
Right.
Then everyone got on him for not running the football enough in that game. No one wanted to talk about the defense giving up points and letting New England come back into it, and I think he's learned from that. I mean, he only had to throw 8 pass attempts in the NFC Championship game in order to win. Kyle Shanahan will be able to do whatever it takes in order to win this. I'm going to go with the young gun. I'm going to go with Kyle Shanahan.
So let me follow that up then, Brady, with you guys and you guys as well with this is in terms of the aggression. Will, you kind of mentioned it, that you expect both coaches to be aggressive. Who has to be aggressive?
Well, I think it's probably the Chiefs. And the reason why I say that is if you look at their offense, one, that's how it's designed. They're not an offense that has really a rushing attack that they can rely on. Mahomes has led them in rushing the past 2 games during the playoffs. And on top of that, I think you have to be able to put up points versus this extremely tough defense, because otherwise San Francisco is just going to control the game. They're going to eat up that clock and maintain possession, running the football, and then allowing Jimmy Garoppolo to play his part in this as well. So I think the Chiefs, because that's their identity, that's who they are, they have to be aggressive in this game.
Will, you agree?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I know. I think that the Chiefs need to be more aggressive in order to make sure that because to me, the Chiefs can win no matter what the game script is. If they get out to an early lead and they continue to play and be aggressive on offense, they can win. If they get down 21-0, they can win too. I don't think I think it'll be tough, but they can still pull it off. We've seen it the last few weeks. However, I don't think San Francisco is going to win if they get down 3 scores in this game. So to me, the Chiefs need to be aggressive to get the 49ers out of that game script that they want, where they run physically downhill. And if they do that early on, they can win the game easily.
Yeah, I'm right there with you guys. You don't drive a fast car to drive the speed limit, right? You drive a fast car to sometimes go above the speed limit. I don't, that's not my advice I'm giving you guys, but let's keep it real. When you have fast cars, you want to test it out a little bit, and that's what they currently have offensively with the Kansas City Chiefs. But one thing I can say about the Chiefs, especially going back to last week's ball game against the Tennessee Titans. Remember, in the second half, they slowed it down. They slowed the pace down, and they were able to continue to sustain drives and put points on the scoreboard. So they have that if they need to go that direction. They have the ability to slow it down. But you got a bunch of fast, outstanding, skilled players surrounding an elite quarterback. You better believe you need to keep your foot on the gas.
And I think the last thing I'll say, one of the reasons why Kansas City has to, is because that's honestly one of their best weapons. It's the pressure that their offense puts on opposing offenses to feel the pressure of how fast they can score and how good this offense can be at times, especially what we've seen in the postseason, both with Houston and even with Tennessee. I think at times, each one of those quarterbacks in Watson and Tannehill sort of look across the field and say, I'm starting to feel the pressure of what that offense brings and how quickly they can score and climb back into this game. So to make Jimmy Garoppolo feel that pressure, aside from their defense, I think it's how aggressive their offense is and Patrick Mahomes are in putting up points and taking shots downfield.
Entering the postseason, the 49ers were top 4 in total yards on offense and rushing yards. The Chiefs top 5 in passing yards. That's held true in the postseason as well. So which one is easier to stop, Bryant, the Chiefs passing game or the 49ers running game?
Give me the 49ers running game, and here's why. There's a good chance Tevin Coleman, the starting running back, might not be available. Of course, we don't know his injury status right now, but there's a good chance he might not be available. But if he is available, he potentially will not be 100%. And they would have to rely on Raheem Mostert, who's done a phenomenal job. I mean, the thing about the San Francisco 49ers offense when it comes to running the football, it has been a running back by committee type of vibe. But knowing what they like to do and knowing how they like to do it, give me the rushing attack, being able to stop their attack outside of going against the elite of the elites. I mean, when you look at what the Kansas City Chiefs have on offense, Pat Mahomes is probably the best quarterback in the National Football League. Then you have Travis Kelce, who's probably the second best tight end behind George Kittle, depending on who you're asking. Then you have the most explosive offensive player in the National Football League in Tyreek Hill. Then you have a guy who was a highly invested player in Sammy Watkins with experience and the big playability when given the opportunity. And then you have another speedster in Mecole Hardman. So you have so many outstanding players you have to worry about. Give me the more generic vibe, which is the San Francisco 49ers running attack, and see if Raheem can continue to outkick his coverage when it comes to his performance based on what he did last week against the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It is the harder one to stop is the Chiefs' passing attack. And look, here's why. You can sell out and stop the run game. And Kyle Shanahan's running attack is really creative. It's going to have play action, all of that. But at the end of the day, you can sell out and stop that rushing attack if you plan for it. If you are stringent in your defensive approach and you maintain integrity from a defensive standpoint, I don't know that you can stop that Chiefs passing attack no matter what happens. Look at these freaking weapons. I mean, like the number 4 and number 5 guys on this team are capable of burning you deep. Andy Reid has done an incredible job of assembling like explosive, unique talents on this offense. And I just think that even selling out to stop this passing game is just almost impossible to pull off.
For many of the same reasons the guys just talked about. You could put a bunch of bodies down around the line of scrimmage, and as long as you execute, you should be able to stop the run. And on the flip side, if you look at this Chiefs offense, I think part of the difficulty is, one, their offensive line is one of the better offensive lines in the NFL. So it starts with their ability to protect Mahomes. He's lethal from the pocket, but he's lethal creating too. And when things break down, that's sometimes when he's most special. So that element is something that you really can't prepare for until you actually get into the game and you start experiencing it firsthand. There's no one on scout team who's going to show you those looks and make the throws that Patrick Mahomes can with his arm strength and with his ability to change his different arm angles. And then on the flip side, there's also the fact that, yeah, maybe George Kittle can give you a good look of what Travis Kelce's like. Who's even close to Tyreek Hill? I mean, would it be Marquise Goodwin? Maybe as far as speed, but not overall route running ability and so forth. So I think not even just the fact of looking at the personnel, but even the preparation for preparing for this passing attack, it's incredibly hard to stop. I think you can only hope to slow them down.
Well, and you look at the top 10 longest plays in the conference championship games, the two games, 5 of those plays were by the Chiefs.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Mahomes' escapability and ability to make the play at the end of it with those throws is something that certainly is going to be dangerous for the Niners when it comes to the Super Bowl. A lot has been made of the fact that Jimmy Garoppolo has barely been asked to win a game with his throwing ability. I saw one tweet that said he had the greatest handoff performance in NFL history this past Sunday. Averaged 29 pass attempts per game, but in the postseason, that number is less than half. So if it comes down to it, Brady, are you confident that Jimmy Garoppolo can win the game with his arm when it's on the line?
Yeah, look, I think we've seen him win some big games this season. He went down to New Orleans and got a good win, in particular throwing the football versus a Saints defense that wasn't playing quite as good at that point in the season, but still was one of the better defenses in the NFL. So he showcased the ability to do it. I just think he hasn't had to in the playoffs, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. They've always got that in their back pocket, especially with the threat of the way they've run the football. I actually suspect them in this game. They're going to come out with some boots, some play actions where Garoppolo could get off to a fast start in this game. Not to say they're going to get away from the run game, but I think he's going to have to throw the football more than 8 times, and I think he's actually going to have a successful job in doing it.
Will?
I don't trust him. You know what? I do trust Kyle Shanahan to scheme him up, and I think Brady's right. I think he'll want to make him comfortable early with those bootlegs. But I don't entirely trust Jimmy Garoppolo to win this game on his own. I think he will require the running game and the threat of the running game to fully really allow him to do what he needs to do in the passing game, to get George Kittle out there leaking out on those crossers. He doesn't really throw to the outside quite as much, loves throwing across the middle of the field. This Chiefs pass defense is way better than people think it is. They've been playing exceptional football for the last 2 months or so, and I think they're going to create some real problems for the 49ers in this game if Jimmy Garoppolo has to throw. Additionally, I don't believe if the Chiefs get down, or if the Chiefs get up 21-0, that the 49ers can just abandon the run, lean on Jimmy Garoppolo, and storm their way back into it. If you look at his stats, 27 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. I mean, look, 15 of those touchdowns came against the Cardinals, Bengals, and in that wild Saints game. I just think he's had a lot of uneven performances, and I don't want to lean on him in this matchup.
Yeah, for me, I'm kind of where you are, Will. You're talking about Jimmy G. It's not just about Jimmy G. It's about Kyle Shanahan. And because of his ability to get the best out of his quarterback throughout his coaching career, he's shown the ability to do that. Matt Ryan, Kirk Cousins, and now Jimmy Garoppolo. Yeah, I do trust Jimmy G in a close ball game because he will have an outstanding scheme that he's comfortable with, that he's relaxed with, and I think he will be able to execute because, like I said earlier, guys, Kyle Shanahan is one of the best play callers in the National Football League. When it comes to dialing up ideal plays to be successful against whatever defense he's going against, he's shown the ability to get the most out of his offense. And that has to, it does a lot, it deals with a lot with the running game too. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that Jimmy G can just be successful without a running game, but being able to have a good mix of both things will be huge for their success rate in this ball game. But yes, I trust Jimmy G because I'm not trusting Jimmy G alone. It's about Kyle Shanahan. He's one of the best play callers in the National Football League.
We talked about the Chiefs defense, or Will had mentioned that. You go back to the divisional round versus Houston Texans. The Texans outgained the Chiefs in that game, even though obviously the Chiefs ended up winning and doing more with their drives to score points. So I know they've been improved this year. They were in the bottom half of the league, though, overall, when you look at the entirety of the regular season. And I think even if you go back to the AFC Championship game, that game kind of got away from them to where Tennessee had to get away from their bread and butter, running the football and base things off the play action pass game. The defense for the Chiefs, they're improved, but they're not something where I feel like they're going to give Jimmy G and the San Francisco 49ers passing offense too many issues.
Let's get into the X factors for this game, starting with the 49ers. Who is their X factor, Brady?
To me, it's the fullback, baby. Talk about use check. I mean, if you look at him this postseason, he's not going to show up in the box score, okay? You're not going to find any receptions. You're not going to find any rushes from him, even though he played a more significant role during the course of the season. It's him being the lead blocker. It's him forcing the Chiefs to decide, how do we want to play this personnel grouping? Do we want to play them in that base personnel and put in additional linebackers, where then he becomes a mismatch for our linebackers out catching the football, but they can still play that smash mouth, football where they're running the football and some of those lead blocks and ISO blocks? Or do they want to spread them out, potentially use them in the play action pass game or in the pass game altogether? Either way, he's going to play a significant role for this team in this game because he's such a good blocker downfield. He's almost like having a second tight end, but he's more of a Swiss Army knife when you look at his overall ability. So I know he hasn't showed up so far in the postseason. I think he could very well be the X factor for the San Francisco 49ers in this game, catching the football, maybe even potentially running the football.
Will, who's your X factor for this one?
Look, I'm going to take the first tight end, and it's sort of a cop-out with George Kittle, but I think he does so much both in the run game and the pass game. You listen to George Kittle talk, and he says over and over again, like, he doesn't care that he had one catch for 19 yards against the Packers. He said, how many times do we run it? Oh, really? Can we run it some more? He wants to run it some more, and I just think when you have a team like the Chiefs, the defense has improved as much as it has, they are susceptible to the run game. Now, we saw they did a great job of bottling up Derrick Henry. They forced the Titans out of their run-heavy game script. But if George Kittle can open up the play action and can be the factor that he has been so far this season in the run game, to me, that can really force the Chiefs to step back and sort of, not be able to pin their ears back and try to get after Jimmy G and that rushing attack.
Bryant?
Wait a minute, guys. Both X factors. You guys took an offensive guy from the 49ers? Oh, well, you know what? I'll be the one to bring out the obvious. It's a defensive guy, and it's Nick Bosa. Little big brother, Nick Bosa. He will be my X factor because of the offense and the quarterback they're going against. This Kansas City Chiefs offense led by Pat Mahomes will be the most explosive offense the San Francisco 49ers will face all year long. They're the most elite. They're one of the more consistent offenses, and they have one of the best passers in the game. And for me, it's Nick Bosa because I believe right now he's the best defensive lineman on that highly touted defensive line unit. But if he can get things going, he's like the lead singer. Most R&B groups, they have a lead singer, a guy that kind of goes out and he gets the song going and everybody else follows suit. That's who Nick Bosa is. He's the guy who's the lead singer and they just follow his lead. And I think it's imperative for him to go out and have a dominating performance, not just about rushing the passer, but being involved in the running game. Because one thing I love about Bosa is his effort. You consistently see him running down the football field in pursuit angles, being involved in tackles, and then we know what he does when it comes to rushing the passer. Because I can tell you this much, guys, if they do not put pressure on Pat Mahomes, this thing will get ugly extremely fast in this ball game. So they better find a way to put pressure on Pat Mahomes, and I'm looking at Nick Bosa to lead the charge.
All right, Brian, you took a defensive guy, your X factor for the 49ers in this one. What about the Chiefs? Are you sticking with defense, or are you going with an offensive guy, X factor for them?
You know what's up, Jeremy. Defense win championships. And yes, I'm sticking with defense for the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm going with the Patrick Beverly of the NFL, Tyrann Mathieu. The reason why I compare Tyrann Mathieu to Patrick Beverly, they both play what I call mother-in-law defense, that nagging defense. Most mother-in-laws, they tend to nag you all the time. They can become a bit annoying. That's who Tyrann Mathieu is for the Kansas City Chiefs. And you look at what he's been doing since being there in Kansas City. He has really improved the defense, especially in the back end. I know Will talking about how improved this defense has been in the secondary. A lot of that has to do with the play of Tyrann Mathieu. And you look at the matchup that he potentially will have. George Kittle is a grown man. It's not about just catching passes when you talk about Mr. Kittle. It's about what he does in the running game. And I believe Tyrann Mathieu will be involved in the running game like he's done week in and week out, but also in one-on-one opportunities in the passing game. Tyrann Mathieu will have to show up and show out from start to finish for them to have success against the San Francisco 49ers offense. So for me, it's the Honey Badger, also known as Patrick Beverly of the NFL.
I had written down Honey Badger's more annoying than my mother-in-law. So I guess B-Mac's all over this, man. I like what he's cooking here. No, this is Honey Badger is the answer for me too. When you look at the film from that Titans game, you would see that dude was everywhere. Derrick Henry would be on a run, and all of a sudden Honey Badger's flying in there. He's stuffing the run. He's coming in. He's trying to strip A.J. Brown. He's flying all over the place. He makes plays. He makes plays on big stages. And I think he would have an outside shot if it weren't for Patrick Mahomes to maybe win Super Bowl MVP. If the defense for the Chiefs can really flip things and take care of the 49ers run game and really create pressure and create turnovers, I think Honey Badger is going to be a major problem for Kyle Shanahan and Jimmy Garoppolo.
I've got another guy who hasn't played a significant role in the postseason for the Chiefs. That's running back Damian Williams. Look, when you're going up against a good pass rush like the San Francisco 49ers possess, you got to have some balance. You got to be able to run the football enough. You got to be able to target your running back in a screen game out of the backfield to slow down that pass rush and even free releasing him in the passing game. Force those edge rushers potentially to have to go out and cover him once he free releases. So having some balance, Damian Williams in this offense, I think helps add to slowing down that pass rush for the 49ers. He's my X factor for the Chiefs.
All right, so we've done the X factors. Let's get to the picks then. Brady, I mean, the Chiefs come in. It's the line started at 1.5. Now it's down to 1, so it's essentially a pick 'em. Who do you like in the game?
Yeah, I like the more complete team. So in my opinion, I'm going to go with the San Francisco 49ers. I'll gladly take the point as well. Bryant said it best, and he knows it best. Defense wins championships, and I think that's what you've got with this team, a team that can control the game. They're still one of the better offenses in the NFL, but this is also probably the best defense that the Chiefs are going to face all year. So I'm going to go ahead and ride with the San Francisco 49ers.
Will?
I'm going to take the Chiefs, and I think I knew I could sense Brady was taking the 49ers. I think it'll be the contrarian point of view, and I think there's a very good chance the 49ers can win the Super Bowl. It is going to be a competitive game. It is going to be an awesome game, but at the end of the day, like any great quarterback knows, you take the best quarterback, and that's who the Chiefs have. They got Patrick Mahomes. The way he's playing the last 8 weeks, he's off the charts. He's mastered Andy Reid's offense. He is operating at full potential levels, and I don't think even this Robert Saleh, Richard Sherman defense can slow him down. He's going to have a big day. Big game, Chiefs win.
Like they slowed down the Broncos with Peyton Manning, huh? Didn't work out so well on that one.
Well, for me, I got to take the Kansas City Chiefs, and here's why. Yes, Brady, I do believe defense wins championships, but in this matchup, I'm not sure if the San Francisco 49ers, they can sustain their level of success against the Chiefs offense for 4 quarters, especially not knowing exactly what the San Francisco 49ers will give them as far as backup and help. I'm taking Kansas City Chiefs. Will talked about the most important player in a football matchup is the quarterback, and Pat Mahomes is the best player available. So looking at that offense and what they will provide, and oh, by the way, their defense, they might not be an elite-like group or even close to being in that conversation, but they play what I call elbow defense. They bend, but they don't break, and I think they will have that same image and personality throughout this ball game, and that will be more than enough for them to cover this point currently right now that Vegas is giving you. So I'm taking the Kansas City Chiefs.
Great stuff, gentlemen. That will do it for us. They are CBS Sports NFL analyst and former NFL quarterback Brady Quinn, CBS Sports NFL analyst, 2-time Super Bowl champion Bryant Mcfadden, and CBS Sports senior NFL writer Will Brinson. And, of course, you can catch the continual breakdown of all the news, odds, changes, storylines heading towards Super Bowl 54 in Miami. The Pick Six podcast each and every weekday with Will Brinson and company. They did an interview with Niners running back Raheem Mostert to discuss his record performance in the NFC Championship game. You can check that out wherever you download your favorite podcasts. And, of course, keep it tuned to CBS Sports HQ for all the latest each and every day.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.